and you say Shah City and around the world, welcome to another episode of Chicago's Intellectuals Podcast. Like, subscribe, and share. You know, here on Chicago's Intellectuals Podcast, we like to bring you the best and the brightest. Today is no different. Today we have a distinguished gentleman, Captain Delvin Fuller. How you doing, man?
What's up, Brother Allen? How are you, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, man.
Great.
I'm
It's
doing
good to
the
see you.
best I've ever done in my life, Delvin.
It's good to see you.
Yes, sir. Hey, listen, we're gonna jump right into it if you don't mind.
No, let's do it.
All right. Tell the world a little bit about your background. How were you raised? Where were you raised?
Wow. Well, you know me better than most. I was raised on the south side of Chicago, down on the low end of 45th, 47th, 50th in Indiana, Michigan Avenue down there by the Silver High School, across from the Cabrini Greens, which was known back in the day, Gangster Disciples territory. But at the same time being raised there, getting in 8th grade and going to Walter Diet Grammar School at the time, or middle school they called it.
Yeah.
My background starts from my humble beginnings down in Pembroke, Georgia, where I was raised by my grandmother up until the time that I came back to Chicago to go to 8th grade. So I have some southern roots as well as the city side. And it's a balance to where the southern side is kind, gentle, nice, and hustle. And then the city side is scraping the concrete trying to survive, if you know what I mean. So those are some of my background beginnings, but I'll let you ask me questions and I'll go from there. But that's where it all started.
Yeah, I like that, man. Why don't you go ahead and inform the world about your academic background, starting from like grammar school?
Okay. Well, when I started in grammar school, like I said, I left Chicago, went down south to Savannah, Georgia, with the Bryan County Grammar School. After leaving grammar school, then down in the south, came back to Chicago. What a difference. I mean, I'm coming from the south where I could ride a horse and carry a gun on my saddle. Like a good old country boy. But then I come to the city, concrete jungle, they would call it. I couldn't carry a weapon. And that was a no-no. Couldn't ride a horse in the street. That was crazy. So went to Anthony Overton Grammar School till 7th grade. And after that, Walter H. Diet was my choice right there with Washington Park, where I had the privilege of meeting my man right here, Mr. Rodney Allen.
Yes, sir.
Great at Walter H. Diet. And
you know, I never knew that you went to Overton, though.
Yeah.
So you transferred from Overton to Diet?
No, I went to Overton because Overton only went to 7th grade, which was crazy.
Oh, and that's so odd.
I know, right? It was so from Overton, I had to go to Diet. And like I said, that's where we began our journey.
Okay.
But at Diet, going to in Washington Park, facing and dealing with a lot of different obstacles.
Yes.
Those who were in school, those who are out of school, and those who are hanging in the park trying to get into something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And earlier you said Cabrini Green, but not Cabrini Green. Cabrini Green's downtown. You've been gone.
It's further north. Excuse me, Robert Taylor Homes.
There you go.
Yeah, Robert Taylor.
There you go. Well, Robert Taylor's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homes right there.
The home, 4950.
Yeah, you know, 4950. Yeah, I had some friends up in there, man. Yeah, that's it. But after Walter H. Diet, I wanted to play a saxophone, and because I wanted to play a saxophone, which I've never done until then, CVS was recruiting, and I got recruited by Harold Bray and the CVS marching band, and went to CVS High School to play in the band. Yeah. And little did I know that my brother Allen would be there. And so once again, another connection for our journey to continue.
Yeah. I don't know. He came to Diet to recruit all of us because we were in band and at Diet, right?
Right. You guys were.
I don't remember what that process was like in terms of whether he recruited us individually, because I looked up and we were in high school together.
and I came the first day to go to the Beehive to join the band or to sign up for the band. So because I was determined to learn how to play that saxophone. So
yeah, man.
And that's how it started, man.
Beautiful, beautiful story, man. Hey, listen, Delvin, What are your values?
Man, well, you know me better than most, and my number one value that I've been ingrained and taught since the beginning of time through my grandmother, my grandparents, my grandfather who's a minister, my mom, is the values of respecting people, treating people how you want to be treated, loving one another, and loving people as you would love yourself,
Mm,
and just being kind to
mm,
people. And it's easier to be kind than to be the opposite, which is mean, hatred, and nasty.
wow.
But some people can care less. And so my values are hardworking, man, because my grandparents worked very hard. My mom worked very hard. Trying to single parent living in the hood with 5 kids wasn't easy. So the value of hard work and commitment to something, the dedication to finish it. And then most importantly, is staying in the church in spite of situations, man, in spite of what it may look like. I can always go to the church and find peace, find somebody that's gonna love on this nappy head boy at the time. I didn't have to be rich in the church because they loved you anyway. So those are my values, and those are my current values that I still live and stand by. Jesus Christ is first in my life, and after that, everybody else matters.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say though, very early on, man, that's one of the things that I've always admired about you, man, is that you uh march to the beat of your own drum from a very
Mhm.
early age. Uh there was a lot of trouble around you, you
Yes,
know.
sir.
I got in trouble a lot. You know,
Mhm.
I showed out a lot, and I was just telling RB, I was talking to RB last night, and I was saying, man, one of the things that I've always admired about Delvin, man, even when he saw me showing my behind, so to speak,
Yeah, yeah.
getting in trouble, being mischievous, just really confused, young, confused, and trying to find my way, he
Right,
never
right.
changed towards me. And I remember people like that for a lifetime, right?
Wow.
There were
That's
some
good.
ladies, there were some ladies in the neighborhood who were like that. I
Mhm.
was getting in trouble. They had seen me since I was a baby, right? And I
Right.
grew up and started getting in trouble, running the streets and doing some things, right? And they never treated me any differently, right? And I can say that for people like you and Derek Fields and
Oh
Joe
man. Yeah, yeah.
DeBose. All of us
Yeah.
grew up together, right? And they
Yes,
were from
sir.
the
Right.
neighborhood.
Right,
And
right.
as little kids, you don't expect your friends to turn out to be gangsters and hoodlums.
Never thought.
but but the most important thing is that the fact that somebody loves you in the face of that, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
that's probably part of your ability to persevere through it, right? The fact
Right.
that somebody believed in you in the face of it.
Yes, sir. That's
So,
it.
so I really appreciate that about you, man. You're one of those people that never treated me any different. Every time I saw you, you were warm, inviting, and had a smile on your face.
Well,
And
and the best thing about that, and we'll continue, is the fact that though I was different, you guys accepted me as I was and didn't try to force me to be like you guys or be into what y'all was into. We
mm-hmm.
accepted each other as we were when we saw each other, and from there, to
Yeah.
be continued in a sense. See you tomorrow, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, right,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah. That's always amazing to me, man, because like you said, there was a lot going on in our community, you know, a whole lot of negativity around you, right? And and
Around us.
and for a young person to be able to navigate that, keep himself alive, and maintain a sense of direction is nothing short of amazing to me, right?
It's amazing, but by the
Yeah.
grace of God, man. Hey.
Yeah, it is by God's grace. It is.
Yeah.
And listen, Delvin, do you remember your address when we were at Diet, when we were in 8th grade? I remember my address was 5336 Calumet. Do you remember your address?
Mine was 4950 South Michigan Avenue.
Wow.
Know it very well.
4950, you 2 blocks from 4950 Federal State
Exactly,
Projects.
exactly. Because you got Michigan, Wabash, State Street. That line was a dangerous line, Jack.
Woo! Oh my goodness, man. Yes, sir. Moving right along, man. Uh, you spoke to this a little bit. You spoke to
Mhm.
it a little bit. Where'd you get your early mindset? Who were some of your earliest influences?
My earliest influences, of course, were my uncle down south, Al, my uncle Al and my grandfather. Their father and son combination. That we had a farm, we had horses, pigs, the whole nine. But the thing was, I fell in love with the horses, and because I fell in love with the horses, my uncle, who was the cowboy and the best trainer in town, best gun shooting in town with one eye, was one of my heroes because he taught me how to train, work, and ride horses, man. And that was it for me. If I can get on a horse and handle a horse, I was the bomb. And so they had a major influence on me, which started and established that hard work mentality. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what the obstacles are, if you work hard, persevere, you'll get through it. And those were the things that my grandfather, my grandmother on the other side was the hammer. She didn't play no games down there because she had a reputation and a name on the line. And when you stepped outside the house, you had to represent the family name.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't having no BS. I mean,
Yeah.
we got into a lot of it, but we prayed that didn't get back to it. But down there, one person know it, everybody know it. So we
Everybody
had to
know it,
pay
yeah.
the price for them days too, man.
Mm-hmm. Wow, wow, wow. Whoo, boy. Yeah, you'd be happy to know that even though I live in the city, man, and I live in the neighborhood where many of our high school friends grew up at. I live in Washington Heights right now, right?
Okay, okay.
But I have a garden in my backyard, right? Because my grandmother was from Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
And traditionally, when you're in Chicago, traditionally your parents would send you south every summer growing up, and that's how
Right.
I kind of fell in love with gardening, man. But I have quite healthy gardens in the summertime. During the summertime, pretty
Nice. I
healthy
have to check
gardens,
that
man.
out. Okay.
Yeah, and I like to pass out vegetables to the elders and do some cooking myself and cut up some green tomatoes on the patio, stuff like that.
That's
You
pretty
know,
good, man. I
live
know you
life a
got
little
a
bit,
little
right?
green thumb in you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. We'll have to connect, man, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I do. Okay, man. So here's what the world been wanting to know. Some of
Mm.
your friends that you grew up with, they've been wanting to know.
All right.
We're gonna get to the meat of the conversation. You are Captain Delvin Fuller,
Yes, sir.
distinguished gentleman. But above all, man, you're a pilot, man.
Yeah.
You are an African American pilot. And I think about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Mm.
I think about the African American men and women who fly commercial jetliners,
Hmm.
but in dismal numbers, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
so this to me is pretty important, right?
Hmm.
As a display of accomplishment, achievement, discipline, composure, and all of those elements that it takes to become a pilot, man. But I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that, man. Take us on your journey to becoming
Wow.
a pilot, brother.
Man,
Please.
first of all, I mean, it's not like I'm accepting an award or nothing, but I got to give credence to God because
Yes.
I couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was down south, I'll tell you the story, starting at 7 years old,
Mhm.
crop dusters used to come in and swing in to spray my grandfather's cornfields and everything. And I thought that was the most magical thing in the world to see them little airplanes dive down, spray the field, and climb up and miss the telephone pole every time. But little did they know they were setting a fire, and a little nappy headed boy sitting on the side of the road that thought the most magical thing could come true for him.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, from that day forward, other than trying to build airplanes, burn plastic bags to make them float, cut up shoe boxes to make them fly, when I got in my first airplane ride down there, and man, we could take off, and everything that troubled me, bothered me, or my big brothers beat me up, went away because I was in the sky. Man, that set the fire. People would say, grandmother loved me because she would say, "Well, you can't be a pilot because God ain't make you. If He wanted you to fly, He would have gave you wings." But that's out of love. That's out
Why
of
don't you
love,
stay on the ground?
and that's out of love. But see,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
danger of talking and touching a child's dream
Yes, yes.
because I could have gave it up in respect to her,
Yeah.
but out of love, I understand that, and so I challenge people to pursue their dreams because after that, I came to Chicago. Nothing around me talked about flying an airplane. The
Mm,
billboards was Campbell's, the Marlboro Man, gin and juice kind of thing.
mm,
There was no poster boards about being a pilot. I mean, they said be all you can be on the billboard and on the bus seats, but that was to be recruited into the army to probably do something, but other than be a pilot. But when I got to CVS and I knew that they had a aviation department and a program for A&P and mechanics, and I
talk,
thought, well, man, I
talk,
can't get
brother.
in it. but it kept me engaged.
Yeah.
Kept me engaged. And in my senior year of high school, finally, I said, I'm gonna do this because it kept, when something is your destiny or something is bound for you to happen to you, it's gonna keep bugging you until you either open that door and see what it's about, or go through that door and pursue it, one or the other. And playing in the band, who would have thought that I'd get a scholarship to Delaware State University? But the setup to that is Delaware State University is by the Dover, Delaware military base. So being out on that field, marching, trying to play a saxophone, man, I was up in the sky watching airplanes land all day long. And I said, no, this ain't it. So I left Delaware State University, came back to Chicago, got accepted at Southern Illinois University, and started aviation flight business management. And that's where I started my flying at Southern Illinois. I got out of there with my partial aviation degree, because I got, we do what we got to do. We ran out of money. Aviation was more expensive than the whole college. Couldn't afford it. But American Airlines hired me as a flight attendant. Wow. Who would have thought? Here I am, this brother from the hood, trying to fly airplanes and go to American Airlines as a flight attendant. But again, little did I know that was a setup. Because at American Airlines, I got to get in the airplane, which was driving me nuts because I had to make a right turn and go in the back instead of a left turn and go in the front. So to pursue my career as a flight attendant, I used that money to pay for my aviation career and learned how to fly. Became a flight instructor, started teaching flying, started flying checks and everything. Finally, the door opened. Delta Airlines Comair hired a brother. Send me to training, Rod. While in training, the day I was supposed to take my check ride to get my wings put on, my wife was losing our first child.
Oh.
So I had to decide, stay in school, take the test today, go home tomorrow, or go home today to be with your wife and see if they go save the wife or save the baby. That was the decision. So I got at 5 a.m. on the test date and I had to get to Chicago. Unfortunately, we lost the child. Things happen. We lost the child.
That, man. Yeah.
Stayed home 3 months with the wife to get up and going. Called Delta up and said, hey, Delvin Fuller, ready for action, ready to come back, get the job. Oh, sorry, Mr. Fuller, but the training department has changed. They moved on. If you'd like to come back, you have to start over from scratch.
Wow.
Gone.
Please say that again. Could you say that one more time? Because the world needs to hear that. Because sometimes we run into brick walls. Sometimes doors close. Sometimes we have barriers, right?
Yes, sir.
Please say that again, man. Because you got your shirt on. You're Captain Delvin Fuller. I need you to say that one more time.
But that time, when I called them up to come back to get trained, they said, sorry, the program has changed. And if you want to do what you do, you got to come back and start over from scratch.
Wow.
Wasn't meant to be. Continued to fly, flying checks, flying small airplanes. Went to this training center my guy sent me. He said, hey, listen, man, you want to be a pilot? Stop all this. Go down to Dallas, Texas. They got a right seat program where they'll put you in the computer or in a simulator with the right seat to train the captains and work with captains. And they'll give you time, and eventually you'll get experience. Went down there, did that for about 6 months. A guy came in, helped his captain. He said, man, we need co-pilots. Why don't you come to this interview? It was in New Jersey, Melville, New Jersey, home of Coca-Cola Bottle Company at the time. And went down to Melville, New Jersey. The daughter gave me the wrong directions. It took me 2 hours to get to the interview. Get to the interview. They say, sorry, we already hired a pilot for the airplane. Whew. But that's the bad news. He said, the good news is, if you want a job, go back to school. We'll pay for it. And if you pass the test, we'll hire you for the bigger airplane that we have. Set up, man. I'm telling you. Went back to school for 6 more weeks, passed every exam, got the job flying the airplane for this company. Doors are slowly opening. But my goal was to be a pilot for American Airlines. That's why I got hired as a flight attendant. Now let's roll this fast, a little tape. Here I am, and been denied a couple times. Interview with American Airlines. They say, well, everything looked good, Mr. Fuller, but we got one problem. You didn't finish your training at Delta. So because you didn't finish the training at Delta, we don't think you finished the training here. We can't hire you.
So they're looking at track record.
The track
record. They don't know the situation with your wife.
Yes, they do. Check this out. I put an addendum in the back of the interview sheet. Doctor's name situation and scenario, emergency family situation. Passed every bit of training, didn't take the check ride. But in their mindset, if you didn't take your check ride, that means you probably wouldn't be able to make it with American. No biggie. Things happen. Denied. Cool. Continued to fly private jets, continued to gain experience. With a third time, denied. A third time denied, right? Let me tell you this. So finally, the company I was flying for said, hey, Delvin, you've been pretty consistent. Your record shows your training ability, your flying ability. You've flown Tyler Perry, Beyonce, Mark Anthony, Jennifer Lopez, and they all have highly recommended you and requested you over and over again. We're going to make you captain. Now, if you go to school from first officer to captain, it's called a captain upgrade, where now you got to go to school for 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. And you got to do everything different than you did in the right seat. Because in the right seat, you just got to show you know how to work the radios, take over if the captain needs you, that thing. But in the left seat, you got to program the flight computer, make the decisions on fuel, altitude, winds, decide when and best to go around and up and around and through weather. You're responsible for the passengers on board. You're responsible for your crew. You're responsible for every emergency situation on that aircraft. You're responsible for destination, being on time, not on time, making decisions, and your name is signed on the dotted line. I've been a captain now since 2000, 2010, flying some of the most prestigious, fastest private jets in the world, better known as the G550. You hear songs, getting in my G6, my G5. I'm on a jet plane up in the sky, living the life, that kind of airplane. And had the pleasure of working for B. Coleman Aviation here in Gary, Indiana. People sleep on it. But the B. Coleman stands for Betsy Coleman, the first African-American aviator, female, that flew airplanes. B. Coleman Aviation, owned by a black man, better known as Mr. Higginbottom. L.C. Higginbottom owns B. Coleman Aviation. Black establishment. I was captain, check airman, and chief pilot of his establishment, flying all around the world. There, I got the experience. Though being delayed and not getting the opportunity with the airline, delayed does not mean denied. Because when the door open, bro.
Yes.
And I'll tell you that. I've been flying during that time, 2019, 2020. Nobody knew it, but I was the corporate pilot for our present president, Joe Biden, flew him all over the United States for his campaign. When you saw the cameras and the Secret Servicemen, they came to me for questions and answers to get the party started, flying Joe Biden. You know, I've had the privilege of flying some of the most amazing people in the world, man. But by the grace of God goes I. When people thought they were denying me, they would just set me up and delaying my time so that I could get what God had for me, man. And so here I am today, flying a Global Express out of Los Angeles. This thing flies at 51,000 feet at Mach 87, 87% the speed of sound, carrying 12 people, can go 15 hours nonstop around the world. It's an amazing experience. But they trust me, little nappy-headed country boy living in the city, hanging out in the hood, me, to handle the business. And I'm not saying that to brag on me. I'm just trying to let somebody know how good God is. And what God has for you is for you. And can't nobody take it away from you, man. You may struggle, and you know about the struggles, you and me both.
Yeah.
But in the end, man, sweet reward comes, man. It comes. That's why. But think about all the times they said no if I would have gave up, if I would have quit, if I would have walked away. Because they said, oh, you shouldn't be in that airplane. You too young. What they were saying is you shouldn't be in an airplane because you're too young and you're black.
Yeah.
But God has a way, man. And here I am.
You just said a whole lot, man. Goodness gracious, man.
Listen, bro.
It's not often that I get goosebumps, bro.
Man,
it's not. I can count on one hand the amount of times in my life that I've gotten goosebumps, bro. Because I know where you came from.
Yeah, see, that's it. When you know the story.
Came from, man. You were 4950 Michigan World. It's 2 blocks away from some of the most dangerous projects in the world at the time.
Sir. Yeah.
We're talking from 55th to 22nd and State Street on state and federal, state in the front, federal in the
Federal in the back.
right?
Yep.
And we're talking
That's it.
having to navigate this community with all type of things going on, man. And today,
Yeah.
you're operating some of the most sophisticated, elaborate machinery, and you're getting some of the world's dignitaries, most prominent entertainers, safely to their destinations, brother.
To and from.
You know, isn't President Biden originally from Delaware?
He is.
Do you see the parallel?
He is from Delaware.
Because I wrote it down.
Yeah.
You went to Delaware for some training. During your journey, you ended up in Delaware, right?
You remember that? Yeah, I go there every 6 months to maintain my captain status. I have to go to Delaware for training, where flight safety is. I go to Delaware.
And that's another thing that people might not know. I'm glad you said that before we get to some of the people that you've met and you've become fond of and you've basically built relationships with. What does it take to maintain your status as a captain and to keep your position, right?
Right.
It's just like when your driver's license have to renew, right? It's just like me teaching at a university, we have to do a capstone. As an adjunct professor, right? I have to do a capstone every year, right? Which consists of my curriculum, my PowerPoints, my teaching style, the student evaluations, my peer evaluations. I have colleagues come and sit in the classroom and grade me, and you have to present a huge package of your educational background, and it's almost like reapplying for the job, right?
Pretty much.
And you have to submit that every year in order to keep your position, or as they would say, in order for them to retain you, right? Okay. So speak to the process in aviation that you guys.
In my case, as a captain, I have to go to school every 6 months.
Okay.
And it's 2 weeks. Within that 2-week time period, I have to be in a simulator. In this flight simulator, people think, oh, computer on the screen. No, it's a level D, which means it comes off the ground and it moves just like a real airplane. And they put you through some of all the scenarios that you may not necessarily experience in real life, but you could. So the plane is turned sideways, upside down, caught on fire, filled with smoke, landed in water. You name it. But you do that. You also have to maintain your first class medical. So every 6 months, I go to the FAA medical facility to get tested, eyes, ears, high blood pressure checked, heart rate checked, all of those things. Then I have to do a computer international training program that gives you all the updates, the latest information, all the scenario bases on traveling internationally, because this plane travels around the world. So the international training package is also done every 6 months to a year, usually once a year for the international package, but every 6 months for my captain status, where they're tested. I'm graded on landings. I'm graded on single engines. I'm graded on engines out. I'm graded on flying the airplane with the engine on fire. I'm graded on flying the airplane with the depressurization, where you've lost pressure in the cabin and the plane has to descend from 45,000 feet down to 15,000 feet in less than 5 minutes, and then evacuating. I'm graded on all of that, even putting a program in the system, making sure the airplane flies where it's supposed to fly, because that's where I told it to fly. So every 6 months, which means that during the time I'm out of training and I'm flying, I'm also preparing myself for the next 6 months. You don't wait till then to prepare.
Yes.
You're preparing while working and flying for the next 6-month training facility or training process. So it never ends, but it's always a learning process, because every time I go, I learn something new. I learn something better. And I talk about other people's scenarios that where if it was to happen to me, how to handle it. So that's the process now.
Hey man, I appreciate your explanation of that, because here's the thing. You know, there's still youth in the area that we grew up around 53rd and Calumet and 49th and Michigan, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they're not hearing anybody, especially anybody that looks like them, right? providing this information to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have somebody, they have access to somebody, right?
Right.
Who looks like them.
Yes, sir.
And who is able to articulate the information. And, you know, it's a very prestigious position, but it's also a very challenging position, right?
It is.
You have to be a responsible person. Only a certain type of person can do this, bro. Which brings me to my next question. Are there certain genres of piloting? Like, are there men and women who specifically fly commercial jets? We know we have our military, right? We have those pilots, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the people like you who fly the private jets, you know, the elaborate machinery, and you're flying all over the world, right? So are there different genres of pilots? Because I don't know, and I'm sure the world would like to know.
So you have, let's go from the basic. You have your average CFI, certified flight instructor, who's flying single engine 172, Cessna 172s, the little small Cessnas. But his aspirations is to hopefully someday become a commercial or private pilot. Then you have the military, which is guarding our country and flying the F-16s, the fighters, the F-18s, the F-20s, and the helicopters and the carriers that are transporting fuel across the country to refuel the fast jets. That's the military side. And those guys usually retire and come out of military and transition over to either the commercial side, which is the Americans, the Uniteds, the Deltas, the Southwest.
Hold that thought, Delvin. Hold that thought. You're going to love this. Just call me in the middle of my interview. Say what's up to Rodney Barnes.
What's up, Rod? What's up? What's up, man? That's crazy. What's up, RB?
Hey, RB says he was calling because he wanted me to ask you a question. What is your question, RB?
I wanted to ask him how does he feel about like United Airlines reserving these, you know, positions for women and people of color, diversifying the industry.
Did you hear the question, Delvin?
I heard it.
Okay. We're gonna get right to it, man. This man he's special. He calls me in the middle of my interview. Hey, I love you, man. I'll holler at you later on, man.
That's awesome.
All right.
That's awesome. That's a good surprise right there.
How you like that, man?
Man, I love that one. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So continue.
So then you have like I was saying, you have the military guys who either go corporate or commercial. And in that space, most airlines prefer the military guys because they've been highly trained. They've been military trained. Their mindset is different. Their training is different. They are very redundant and robotic. And so the airlines prefer that type of pilot. So you have that genre. Then you have the commercial, like I said, which is the Americans, the Deltas, United, the Southwest pilots of the world. And you have the corporate. Now, out of all these genres, even in the commercial industry, you have maybe 70,000 pilots. Out of that 70,000 pilots, there's less than 5% African-American pilots in that industry. Now, on the corporate side, you may have 70,000, you may have 20,000 to 30,000. And out of that 30,000, you may have a higher percentage, 15% African-American. But then there's what you call a double minority. And that double minority is a Black woman. And I shouldn't say Black woman, but I should say Black and brown female.
So you're getting the RB's question now.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So you got the double minority, which is the Black and brown female. And because over the years, United Airlines had not hired pilots or female pilots or minority pilots for a long time. And then this organization came along called OBAP, Organization of Black Aeronautical Professionals, OBAP. And OBAP put up this thing and said, hey, listen, we're protesting. You guys aren't hiring enough minority pilots. And they said, you know, you're right. So what we're going to do is start hiring minority pilots. But see, in being specific, you got to be careful what you say and what you ask for. Being specific makes a difference, because when they said minority pilots, in this industry, a woman is a minority. So they've made up for that by hiring white women. So it's, hey, you said we weren't hiring minorities, but now we are.
That's a historical pattern, right?
Yeah. So then they had to come back, and OBAP said, wait, we're gonna fix this. Yeah, you did do what we said, but you got us on that one. Let's fix it. So we're back and reorganize it again. And so we're talking about Black and brown minorities. So then, since then, United has done a revamping and a changing of things, and they've solely focused. And a lot of people say United Airlines is the soul airlines. That's the soul plane for us because United Airlines has the highest number of minority pilots in the industry, where they've now focused because of OBAP, because of women in aviation, because of Sister of the Skies. They have now focused on training Black and brown minorities to whatever specifics that these airlines need. So when they go for these interviews, they pass the interviews and they can't be denied because they're backed by these organizational groups. So now they have set this aside. And now that we've come up to present day, I could be jealous, but I'm not because I wish the young women and men the best of the best because now these airlines realize, hey, we got a shortage of pilots. We got guys retiring at 65, but nobody to replace them. We have to do something. So now they've set aside these cadet programs. American Airlines has cadet program. Delta has a program. United has a program where young men and women of all nationalities and colors can apply to go to these programs where you go in, they train you, they send you to the partnered schools to learn how to train, just like a doctor would. And you pay the loan back once you get the career. It's another avenue. And so the fact that they've set aside spaces and spots for minorities, Black and brown, they should have done it a long time ago. But like we always say, the camera makes a lot of things more aware that we're slipped.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, all these has made it more. And because they realize, wait a minute, they posting their pictures and their success, which is making more people interested in this business. We need to open this door because we need pilots. We can't be so big and bad to turn any and everybody away. So now the door has been open for us, and they've been hiring pilots like crazy because there's a big shortage and they can't catch up. They just talked about it last night that it's starting to do a slowdown, but still that slowdown is not going to replace the loss of pilots that we had from 9/11 when they weren't hiring pilots for 10 years. And then COVID came along, 19 to 22, and knocked out a lot of guys who are 63, 62. They got COVID, got sick, and just went ahead and retired. So they got a double whammy. And now they're trying to change the age to 67 retirement requirement just to keep pilots on staff. So I applaud United Airlines. They're one of my better ones when it comes to that because United always is a trendsetter when it comes to the minorities and the Black and the brown. And it's because now they have a lot of Black captains, they have a lot of Black female captains, they have a lot of brown, Black and brown female captains, and they're pushing the issue and they're making it known and putting it in their face. This is what we need. This is what has to be done. So I applaud United for that.
Hey man, goodness gracious, boy, are you educating us today? I just wanna pause for a minute, man, and let you say a word of encouragement to the little Black girls and the little Black boys, in terms of the doors that are open in your field, in the field of aviation.
Okay. To my young people, I'm glad Brother Allen asked me to do this. Me, myself, Captain Delvin Fuller, highly understands to whom much is given, much is required. I dare not take this position for granted because somebody encouraged and pushed me. So this is what I do in Chicago, and you can look me up. You can find me on Instagram. I go around and I mentor. I do youth motivational speaking, and I mentor young people about aviation. I was just at a grammar school this past Thursday after coming in from LA, an all-nighter, and I had to go over there and talk to some young people. It was only 7 guys in the class, but if I can get one, my living's not in vain, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, if that's what you want to do, look up how to be a pilot. Look up my first flight called introductory flight. Look up those things and then get in touch with people like Organization of Black Aeronautical Professionals, which is OBAP, OBAP.org. Look up Sisters of the Skies, where my dear friend Nia Gilliam, captain of United, has started Sisters of the Skies, where they focus on the sisters, the Black and the brown, and teaching them how to fly. But don't just stand there and dream about it. Do something about it.
Yeah.
to the young men. I'm mentoring 3 young men now. One is at United's Flight Academy. One is about to get his first private pilot license, and one is in Miami. That's got her certified flight instructor's license to become a pilot. So I'm telling my story everywhere I go, whether it's to be a pilot or to be a space engineer or to be a truck driver. If it's your dream, pursue it. Let the dream be the fuel to take you to the next level. And you can find me, as Deion Sanders say, I ain't hard to find.
I ain't hard
I
to
got
find.
you. Look me up.
I ain't
I
hard to find, and it ain't hard to tell.
Yeah, hey, tell me about it. Listen, man, this
Yes.
is what I do. It's my living. I mean, I have to. And like you said, we got so many young people that don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But here I am, and maybe it's not enough of us, but let me help get it
I'm
out
just glad to know you, man. I'm just glad to know you because you know that's my thing. Youth have always been my thing, man. So
always.
I'm
Yeah.
just glad to know you, brother. Listen, back to you, man. How does it feel to fly some of the world's dignitaries, man? You've flown President Biden. Tell
Mm.
me about some of those adventures.
Man, those are some of the most humbling, amazing adventures ever. Because, first of all, when you look at my background and my story, who would have ever thought? You know, and people say, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thought? Yeah.
But here I am. Here I am. The mission with President Biden um, at the time was so amazing. The responsibility was in my hands. My name was on the dotted line. But whether it's Joe Biden or my mom, I
Mm.
would handle them the same way, because my job is my job, and that's to take you to your destination to and from on time if we can, safety first
Safely,
and
safely.
securely.
Yes.
And I'm going to handle everybody. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible, and excuse me if I keep going to Bible references, but that's who I am.
This is
It
your
says,
interview, brother.
hey,
We're not
hey,
trying to change you here.
okay, excellent.
We're trying to illuminate you here.
Yeah, it says, treat a person as if you're handling the Lord.
Yeah.
So when I handle
Woo.
people, I try to handle them as if it's the Lord, and you don't
That's
know how,
strong, man.
yeah, it's
That's
strong.
strong.
And so I handle everybody the same. I'm not, I mean, I had Snoop on the plane the other night coming from LA.
Mm.
What's up, nephew? How he would holler it out, Captain Nephew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coolest dude ever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I handle him the same way, with respect, kindness, and concern.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, my name is on a dotted line. But here's the key: I love me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
Right.
me. And I'm gonna do everything possible to be
Yeah.
safe, secure, and come home the next day.
Yeah.
So the fact that you ride with me, you in good hands, because I got
Yeah.
Jesus Christ on my side, and I'm taking care of me first. And it's
Woo.
nothing, and it's nothing, I should say, I'm not being selfish, but Miss Beyonce, the same thing. Miss B, I call her. She lets me call her Miss B. The same thing. Hey, I'm kind of, you in good hands. Because first of all, I love me, and I want to see my family tomorrow. So
Well, hold
I'm
on. Did Beyonce have a concern?
she's a little nervous about flying.
Really?
Yeah, they just don't jump. They do it because it's convenient,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they don't all love it. You
Okay.
know, they don't all love it. I mean, I've had the privilege of flying some very important babies, if I could say some names right now, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
But some very important babies that are valuable in one's family line and genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
And the concern was, I'm afraid of flying, but, and the thing I always tell them, the fact, I'm no better than anybody else, but I know somebody that a lot of people don't deal with and know. Jesus is my captain. I'm just his co-pilot. And if he got me, he got you, because we on this thing together.
Yeah.
And the privilege of flying, Tyler Perry, like I said, Tyler Perry, Beyonce, even my man Michael B. Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Cool people that are kind, respectable people and love life just as well. Will Smith, another cool cat on the airplane. I mean, I've had the privilege of flying, and one day we'll get into my wall of fame. But man, so, even our boy Kanye, Captain, what do you think of my interview going? I flew him to see President, um, that other dude in the White House.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And when I flew him that day, he asked me about his interview and what he was his speech, and he was clowning in that speech. I said, "Listen, man, you're Kanye West. The world respects you.
Mm.
When you step in that White House, go with your education and your intelligence. They expect you to be a clown. Don't do what they expect you to do." and he flipped the script on us, man. He would have never cut
as he will do.
the fool. He would have cut the fool. But
Yeah.
big kudos out to Kanye too, man. He says
Yeah.
again, nobody was treated any differently.
Yeah.
All the same. Because that's who I am. I'm first of all, I'm a man of God. I'm professional. I'm respectable, and I respect people, and I handle people the way I'd want to be handled. And everything that you do it as if you're serving unto the Lord, and it's easy. It's easy.
That's strong, man. That's strong. I like it, man. I like it. Listen, Delvin, go ahead and educate us on global travel.
Wow.
Let's do it like this. Give us your top 5 favorite destinations that you have flown to.
Come on now, you put me on the spot.
We gotta go with it, baby. We gotta go with it.
Top 5, starting with the bottom. This is gonna be a tough one. Top 5, starting with the bottom. I'll say Hawaii.
Okay.
Hawaii is number 5. Number 4, I'd say Cabo St. Lucas, not too far from us, but you know. Number 3, I'd say Barcelona, Spain. You know, love Barcelona. Number 4, I would say Rio de Janeiro.
Brazil. Okay.
Brazil. Yeah, they great place. And number 1 thus far has been Ibiza.
Where's Ibiza?
Ibiza is in Spain. It's the party capital of Spain, where the people never sleep from March through September.
Bro, I wasn't up on Ibiza.
Man,
I gotta learn about Ibiza,
yes,
man.
You do. Yes, you do. Listen, I'm a man of God. I'm a man of God, and I love life, but I'm a social butterfly, and I love to get out, and I'm a house head. I love to dance. You know nothing else. I love that, man. And in Ibiza, from March to September, every day is a party. Every day is celebrating life, man. I mean, and during the day it's pool parties and celebrating, and at night it's theme parties, and people are just loving on each other from all around the world. I ended up in Ibiza last year for 10 days and met a cat that graduated out of CVS in 1978.
We're all over the world, baby.
We're
all over the world.
all over the world. And we had the best time. Man, but Ibiza was number 1. And so, I mean, Dubai is up there too, but
honorable
I
mention,
like to be.
Honorable mention, Dubai. We'll give that an honorable mention.
There you go. Okay, we'll do that.
Listen, man. Again, RB and I were talking. And when I thought about your story, right? Because I don't wear my credentials on my sleeve or anything like that, right? I just like I told you, you know, before we got on the platform, you know, I'm doing better than I've ever done in my life, right?
Yes.
And RB and I were talking, and I was thinking about your story, and I said to RB, I said, you know, RB, we don't talk about this a lot, but CBS have put out quite a few powerful people.
Right.
We're talking about Dick Buckus, Keena Turner that played for the 49ers.
49ers, that's right.
And the world loves Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac, yep.
Right? Now we got Delvin Fuller, Rodney
You got
Allen,
the big DJ that was down.
Wells.
What was the big DJ that was down in Miami, Florida? Oh, I can't say his name. The one that he started that saying,
we the best.
Yeah,
Talent.
we the best. Yeah.
Talent. I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I got your back.
Right. I appreciate that.
But yes.
Everything is everything. He started that one too. Yeah.
Bro, Captain Frazier, better known as Kool-Aid. Right? He's a battalion on the fire department.
That's
Come
right.
on, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rodney Bonds is doing well. Rodney Hawkins is doing well. David Jones doing well. Vic's doing well. Clyde's doing. Everybody's doing well. I had Tammy Monk on this platform. I had Daryl DJ Johnson on this platform.
Right.
I had some of the youth from my youth program back in the day who are around the country doing very well on this platform. So you probably saw some of those episodes and didn't know that those were some of the teenagers that we dealt with back in 2007 when I had the youth program.
Kudos to you, man. Kudos.
This is what we do. And which leads me to my next question. This is a very important question. You already spoke to this.
Okay.
Do you have a mentor?
I do.
Please, please.
Even at my best, I have the first guy that encouraged me and made me stay in it when I wanted to give up is Ken Rapier. Ken Rapier is being honored next week, but every Saturday for almost 20 years at the Gary Airport, Ken Rapier with the Chicago Red Tails would set up free flying every Saturday at the Gary Airport from 10 to 2. We'd have volunteers bring their airplanes out, and he'd have kids come in and go for free flights to introduce them to aviation. He did this for 20 years. They finally retired last year and stopped doing it after last year. But Ken Rapier was doing this for 20 years. And we call him, some people call him uncle, some people call him father, and some people call him the grandfather of the sky, because though he didn't work for an airline, he mentored so many of us to get us in the airline and into aviation and flying around the world, from people from Delta, United, Southwest, American. You got corporate pilots such as myself, other pilots. I mean, in every genre of aviation, Ken Rapier has molded a young person to be a professional pilot. And then I got mentors with OBAP, the Organization of Black Aeronautical Professionals, and Jamie Jamison, one of the guys that challenged me and bust my chops when I started getting kind of lackadaisical about my flying and just wanted to go up, fly, and have fun and take the girls up flying and try to impress them. And he's like, no, bro, you got somewhere to be, and you got to be there at a certain time. So we have guys that were before me that did it, that pushed me to stay in the saddle. But because of that, that's why, like I said, I dare not take it for granted, because it's by the grace of God. And I understand that by the grace of God goes I. So I'm always willing to talk to a young man, young woman, even if you're in your 30s, you can still transition your career and be in a cockpit before you hit 40 and give them 25 years of service as a professional pilot. It's never too late. But because of those mentors, man. And then at church, I have my pastor, Pastor James T. Meeks, 47 the King Drive, Pastor Joseph Wells at Mount Pisgah, where I grew up. These cats, they just didn't preach. But back then, they came out and they handled the young people. They just didn't preach and disappear. They handled the young men and the young women. Hey, what you doing? Why are you out in the street? Put on, fix your tie, get up. They handled us. And to God be the glory for those people, and primarily my mom, which kept her foot close. You know what I mean? So, but here I am, man, because of those people.
Yeah, man. There was a method to my madness. Of course, I've had a mentor for, I have 3 now, but at least one mentor for the past 30 years.
Wow.
And my question to you is, are you ever too old or too young to have a mentor? And do you think that you would have made it to prominence, when you would have erected yourself to prominence without the assistance of a mentor?
Well, there's a saying that says no man is an island. Everybody needs somebody. And I don't think, what God has for me is for me, and I could have taken that journey alone, but look what I would have missed. The brotherhood, the fellowship, the relationship, and the education from each one of those mentors that did it, been there, done that before me. So some people say, I don't need nobody. You're lying. Stop lying to yourself. Everybody needs somebody. Even if it's nothing but the construction guy to say, yo, slow down. There's a hole half a mile. Either you can slow down to go around it, or you can ignore the advice and go in the hole. And that's basically what a mentor is. Yo, here's the track you're on. This is where we're trying to go. This is what I need you to do. Let's get it done.
Yes.
Now you can ignore that, and you may get there. Your journey may get there, but it won't be as successful, and it may take twice as long. So I don't think I could have done it without him.
Neither do I, man. In my life, I don't believe I would be where I am today, man, because there's just that cultural nurture, a sense of accountability, right? And just having somebody who believes in you during those moments when
you don't believe in
faith is a
yourself.
little bit diminished.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because hey man, I was voted least likely to succeed.
You and me both. You and me both right here. Hey.
You know what I mean, man? So
yeah.
So yeah, and so there is there is no age range in terms of mentorship, right?
Yeah.
I have a mentor who's 74 years old and retired from the Chicago Fire Department, and he has a mentor.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
He's retired, owns
And
plenty
he
of
has,
property, doing good, kicking back, traveling the world, and he still
Mhm.
has a mentor.
Still has mentors.
All right. So if he can humble himself,
Mm-hmm.
why can't I?
Why can't I?
Why
That's it.
can't I? Back to you, brother. In no particular order,
All right.
5 of your most memorable people that you've had to get safely to their destinations.
5 of my most memorable. Wow. So me, I have to go through my checklist, man.
No particular order.
One of them was T.I. Back in the day when T.I. was doing his moving and shaking and doing his thing. He had lost one of his friends.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he back to, I think it was Minnesota or somewhere.
Yeah.
And we had to take him back. And it was tough because it would happened all of a sudden and everybody got on the airplane and had to go. So the ambiance, the somber in the place was pretty thick.
Mm-hmm.
But in spite of that, this brother was kind, humble, and still generous enough to say, thank you for getting me here. In spite of all that, there was a coach that I had to fly out of Michigan. He was on his way to a game and they called him on the phone and he went back home and we canceled the flight. But when he went back home, while he was in Michigan driving his family back, they got in a car accident. In this car accident, he lost his wife and daughter. He and his son barely survived. But when I had to fly the airplane to pick them up, in spite of losing his wife and daughter, and his son was on life support, we helped him get on the airplane. He sat down and he was crying. I could realize that he was going through what he had lost in his state of mind. But as he got off the airplane, he said, you don't know how much you mean to me right now.
Wow.
Because you got me where I need to be safely and on time. And I thank you for that. You know, Beyonce is another one. Big as she is, bad as she is, global as she is, she never once not took the minute and said, Captain, thank you for doing a great job and getting us safely to our destination. Not once, not twice, but every time I've flown her, it's the same. And it's people like that that makes you really, really, really appreciate. You got Uncle Joe Biden. He loves his chocolate chip cookies. He gets on the airplane, he fussed for a minute. Him and his wife go back and forth. But every time we land, he would say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to tell you now, there's a lot of money out there and there's a lot of big people out there. And a lot of them caught up in themselves don't say thank you. But you'll be amazed at that 2 words, thank you, and how much it means coming from somebody that don't take what you do for granted.
Yeah, that's one of the most humbling statements in the world.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. That's one of the most humbling statements. You can calm the environment with those 2 words. You got one more. You got one more.
Okay, one more. Who else that I had an experience with? Mark Anthony. Mark Anthony leaving Lima, Peru, and that big concert. He had all this going on, and he came back. He was dog exhausted, didn't want anybody to disturb him, and he got back and he says, "Listen, I'm going through some stuff right now. The concert was amazing, but just being on this airplane and hearing you tell us about the altitude, the smooth air, and the safety of this flight solved and calmed my nerves right now. Thank you for a safe flight." Makes a difference, man.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I can appreciate people like that are so big, but never too big to come back to say thank you. And because they recognize that, hey, you're just as big as I am, just in a different genre.
Yes.
But thank you for taking care of us.
Now you know I got at least one hood question.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
What kind of food y'all got on them planes, man?
Whatever you like. That's the key. That's the ball. Listen, Now you gonna make me go there. That's the balling side of it. Whatever you like. If you want chicken on it, then we go get chicken on it. If you want,
Yeah.
listen, man, I've flown people that have gotten on my airplane and they are influencers making major money. They've
Yeah.
got a private jet. And so, oh, our food is coming. I know y'all got our catering. And you know what they had on the airplane?
What?
They had the fresh seafood bag with the
Oh,
crab
the
leg,
crab boil.
the crab boil. And listen, man, when they got off the airplane, there was sauce on the side of the panel with leather. They had crab leg up under the seat. Man, they had shrimp tails over on the side of the panel. Hey, everybody. So whatever you want, that's what we get. The other night, we waited 10 more extra minutes because some young lady had cooked these special chicken wings for Snoop and his crew.
Wow.
I thought my man wanted caviar. I thought my man wanted some, whatever, but he didn't have that. He didn't have nothing but. So it's whatever you order. It works like this. You get the airplane, you call the crew, you call the company, tell them what you like on your diet if you have any special needs or whatever, and they call a catering company. The flight attendant has the catering company. She picks it up, brings it on board, or they deliver it to the airplane. She prepares it and it's served. So if you want Skittles and popcorn, it's Skittles and popcorn. It's whatever you like, man. Whatever you like.
Oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. Great, great stuff.
Yeah, man.
When I was young, man, my favorite aunt was married to this guy who would always take us to the airport anytime we were going like south for the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we were approaching O'Hare Airport, I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. And he would always say to me, nephew, there go the Big Bird.
Yeah.
I fell in love with airplanes at
Wow.
5 years old, bro. You never knew that.
Didn't know that.
Every time I see an airplane now, it's so calming for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just stare at it. I go back to being that little kid, right?
Yeah, childhood memory.
Uncle telling him, they go to Big Bird, man.
There you go. Yeah,
hey, man. Listen, we just have a few more questions and I'm gonna let you get out of here because I know you have a busy schedule. What does Delvin Fuller read? Captain Delvin Fuller, that is.
What I read, man, I'm on a mission right now. I'm reading two different books, but this one I'm reading right now is called "What Does the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast?"
Woo.
And because I'm happy where I am, but I can't become stagnant and take this position for granted. So I'm always striving to be better than last year's version of me. And so this book is called what does most successful people do before breakfast? It's a pretty good book. It talks about the successful people and how before the average person gets up for breakfast, so many different things that they've done. But then I find myself getting bored in the book. So I got this app on my phone, and I'm not doing any marketing or whatever, but it's called Headway.
Mm-hmm.
And this Headway does a synopsis of all the different books that you really may want to read. And it covers all the primary points and synopsis, which is opened up a lot of different reading spots for me and reading books because I'm always in my books with aviation. I'm always in my books. I'm a big fan of self-help books, always trying to improve myself for others. So I'm not into the love stories. I don't need no spy and espionage. While I'm giving the time to that book, I could be making Delvin Fuller better for somebody else. So that's my forte.
Very good. Very good. Outside of house music, what type of music does Delvin listen to?
Wow. Well, outside of house music, I'm a big gospel fan. I love gospel music because I was raised in the church. I'm in the church. I'm still in the church. I'm active in the church. So gospel music is my go-to for my peace, my tranquility, sometimes guidance. I love gospel music, saxophone player. I love jazz. I'm very diversified in music. You can give me some rock and roll and I can get with it.
Yeah.
I just like music, but jazz is good. I love house music. I love current R&B.
Yeah.
When I'm working out, I'm on to some hip hop and some power hitters while I'm working out, get that thump going, so music, I love music. Being in the band, man, it's hard. Every now and then I'll go and I'll download and I'll just on Facebook and listen to some Jackson State fan playing it because they be playing some stuff, man. And just to hear them horns bring back memories of them saxes and horns. And man, the Boom Shakers of Jackson State, I just love listening to them sometime, man. I mean,
that's interesting, man.
man,
That's
because man, the
interesting, but
band changed my life, bro.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. Hey, listen, man. Tell the world just a little bit about what you're doing down in Georgia with your son and these animals, man.
Oh wow.
Can you touch on
Yeah.
that a little bit?
Yes, sir, I can. Because yeah, you know, a lot of people see me in the cockpit, but my side gig and my undercover gig is that we have a wildlife refuge farm down by Augusta, Georgia, in a little small town where we have 5 acres, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath little house down there. And my son, Kyle, has this wildlife refuge, and we have about 54 animals or something like that. We have alpacas, emus, pigs, donkeys, horses. We have a lot of reptiles, 3 20-foot pythons. My name is a transport outside of being dad. He's my business partner.
Yeah.
But I just transported down there a 6-foot long water monitor. Her name is Grim, but she's kind of, man, she's easier and friendlier than an average dog, man. So, but what we're doing down there is setting up the wildlife refuge for people to be able to make a trip to get that experience excursion where they can come and they can stay on the property, work the farm, help feed the animals, work with the animals, and get that no horns honking, nobody fussing, no connection, no communication. Watch the sunrise, work during the day, watch the sunset, chill, and go back home after the weekend, reprieved, refreshed, and renewed, man. And when I'm not flying, believe it or not, I love seeing my son. So I go down there and I love working, but I'm a farm boy. So it takes me home every time.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's my personal therapy.
Yeah.
That is my personal therapy.
Another hood question.
Yeah, yeah.
Who taking care of all these animals, man?
Me and this Beyonce. That's the crazy part. My kudos go out to my son Kyle at SSG Kyle on Instagram, who's taking care.
Okay.
The brother's working hard every day. You know, you can see him on Instagram at SSG Kyle, but also on YouTube, Kyle's WR. Young brother, he and his fiance, they're 23 and 24 years old, and they get up every morning taking care of feeding animals, worming animals. I go down there and he used the muscle in me to help build shelters and sheds and more supporting fence and guarding fence to keep the animals enclosed. But they're doing it every morning, every day, man. And it's only by the kindness of people that want to make donations, send contributions, help them out in any way they can. So I got to
Big
give
up,
them a big shout
Cal.
out.
Big up, Cal.
Yeah.
And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because this guy has always been adventurous. He was riding horses when we was in high school.
you know,
The apple don't fall too far. Hey,
right,
listen,
right.
man. Delvin, I hope that you've enjoyed this interview as much as I have, man. It's been a complete blast, brother.
Listen, man, this has been a pleasure. And not only has it been a pleasure, but I got to give out shouts and much gratitude to you, least likely to succeed, man. I'm so proud of you. You don't know. Words cannot express the joy I get in seeing your success and what you've done and where you've come from to where you are and where you're going. So God bless you, Rod, man. Brother Allen, God bless you. May he keep you and keep doing the great things you're doing, man. Because somebody, like I tell everybody else, somebody needs to hear our story, no matter where we go. Because in telling our story, some boy or girl will be saved and change their life by us, man. So I appreciate you for taking this time out and canceling your other appointment to have me on board.
Oh, ain't no doubt, man.
You, man.
You're
Much
my
love
brother,
to
man.
you.
We were childhood friends, so
Much
we have
love to you,
one
man.
final section, man, that I think you will enjoy. Now, I don't think you've ever smoked weed in your entire life, man. Because when we were smoking and when we were young and stuff, man, you go somewhere in the corner and hide. So
You know,
I don't think you've ever done that.
but I'll tell you why
Mhm.
I never
Go
smoked
ahead.
weed. Because when I was 12 on 4950 South Michigan Avenue on the bottom steps, I tried it. And my brothers made me smoke a joint and chase it with a can of Crazy 8, old English 800 back in the day. And I got so high, I became paranoid and freaked out over my mother's friend who was on her period. And she was the scariest woman in the world to me. And I went outside with a stick, trying to balance a stick on my hands, and it fell and knocked my friend out. And we thought that was the funniest thing in the world. But the thing that changed my life, Rod, is that next week while I was trying it, I was failing in school.
Mm.
And my mother had a label on me. She titled me and she called me her star child. And when the teachers called her up to the school and said, hey, Delvin's failing in this week he's been lazy, he's been lackadaisical, he's not doing what Delvin do. What's going on? Regardless of what was going on, I saw the disappointment in my mother.
Yeah.
And because of that disappointment, I was done.
And I'm so happy you were done. I
That
smoked
week
enough
was
for you,
it.
bro. Don't worry about
I
it.
appreciate you. But that's what happens when you put a title on
Yeah.
a child. That's what I
Yeah.
tell people all the time. Be careful how you label a child.
Yes.
And she labeled me her star child. And a star child could not fail because I was a star.
Yeah.
But man, that was it. That week was done. I need no more weed.
Yeah.
I got a natural high, baby. You know I
Yeah.
got a natural high.
I know that. I know that. So yeah, man, another one of our Black superheroes.
Oh
right?
man.
I'm hoping that those in our audience, those who support Chicago's Intellectuals podcast, show this to their children, your
I hope so.
grandchildren, and the young people. Show it to your friends. You know what I mean? Because this is a heavy piece right here, man. So we have this final section of our interviews, and it's called Bring Some Weed. I got a story to tell, and I don't even smoke. In this segment, I like to afford all of our guests an opportunity to tell a story of their choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
No different here. Now is your time as we close.
Wow. Tell a story. Man, it's so many. But I'll tell you this one real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I had the privilege of flying to Lagos, South Africa. And we had to go up into the northwestern section of Africa to deliver this prince and his family. Well, when we get there, we had an opportunity to go out for dinner. So me and my crew, we get dressed, we change clothes, we will go have dinner, check out the town, and come back in. Well, while out to dinner, we decided to walk around the town.
Mm-hmm.
We walk up on this palace, this building. It's white, lit up, gorgeous, beautiful. And the way that the light was reflecting off the building made it look like glistening diamonds. So my flight attendant decides she wants to take a picture. She took 3 pictures, but her flashing light started something. So after her 3rd picture, these bright lights came on and blinded us. We could not see. Then we heard this announcement in their language telling us not to move, but we didn't know that's what they were telling us.
Mm.
So now we're hustling, trying to get back to the taxi, and these lights and sirens are going off. We don't know what happened. We get to the taxi, and the taxi driver says, I can't take you. I can't move. They've told me to stand still. So finally the lights go dim, and we look up, and along the walls of this presidential palace is the military with guns pointed at us. So they come down, a troop comes down, gather us up, guns on our back, take us inside.
Wow.
My flight attendant starts crying. She took the pictures on my camera. So as we're inside, going up these stairs, I'm freaking out, thinking, what's going on? She's crying. Guy trying to tell her not to cry, it's going to be okay. The Holy Spirit just told me, hit delete. So as we're going upstairs, I'm just deleting. I don't know what I'm deleting. I may be deleting Paris. I may be deleting Germany. I don't care. I'm just hitting delete because it's dark. But while I'm hitting delete, I'm counting the stairs. Okay, that's 15. That's 7. We go up to the 3rd floor. Get to the 3rd floor. They put us up against this dark wall. I mean, it's still dark. They go inside. You hear these guys, and they're arguing in this language. And they're going back and forth. So finally, the door opens, and they bring us in. And there's this general captain with all these stars and stripes and banners on his jacket. And he sits there and he says, taking photographs in this country of the presidential palace is forbidden. And he's like, jail. And when he said jail, she freaked out. I mean, she lost it. And I'm so nervous. I'm trying to think of the guy that we flew in, because if I could tell him who we work for, maybe he'll just like let us go. Yeah. But I was so nervous with these guns pointing. Man, you got M16s pointing in your face, bro. It ain't like you can say your ABCs right away, Yeah. And so I'm trying to think. He says, give me camera. So he takes the camera and he goes through it. And he look at picture after picture after picture. He see honey pictures, family pictures, all kind of pictures. but he don't see not one picture of the presidential palace.
Mm.
He goes back again and he looks, sees nothing. So then he says to the guy, no pictures. Where are the pictures? And the guy's like, trying to, hey, they there. And he looks again. And he says, come show me your pictures. And I showed him the pictures. He didn't find no pictures.
Mm.
And he sits back and he says, he does like this, right? He don't say whether we can go or we free. He just does like this, like off with him kind of thing. So they take us out and they take us in the opposite direction of where we came, which makes me think now, which we're not going back to where we came in, where we going.
Mm.
She's like, we're going to jail. And she's still crying, won't stop crying, man. We get down to the bottom and there's this yard. They let us out into this yard and the guy says, go. And man, when that gate opened, the taxi driver was right there waiting on us.
Oh, they had already contacted the taxi and everything?
They told him to wait. We didn't know that. So, dude, we got outside of that guard and we got in that taxi, man, and said, wait, he kept our passports. So then the taxi driver said something to him in the language. And then the guy says, he called the flight attendant. She's like, what? Why you want me? Why you want me? And he takes out the passports to tell her, I told you, don't cry. And he gave her all three of our passports, man. We got out of there so quick, bro. I just knew we was going to jail that night, but I could not let her know that. I had to keep I'm the captain. I got to keep my composure, man.
Yeah, she's already up in arms, though. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Let's get the poor lady to death.
she lost it, dude. We get back to the hotel about 3 o'clock in the morning, and the concierge says, oh, Captain, how was your dinner? I said, look, man, we had dinner, and we've been in the presidential palace jail cell talking. He said, no, what happened? I said, we took pictures. You know what this dude said? Oh, Captain, I have to tell you, no photographs of the presidential palace. I said, dude, too late for that. We'd have been through the drama. I'd have had 30 M16s pointed at my head for taking 3 pictures. So it's too late to tell us that. But man, this was an interesting experience, man. And the place where we was at is known because it was known for shipping slaves from that point over to Europe. Because at the shoreline, they have a male and a female slave with the shackles broken and a sign at the bottom that says, never forget.
Oh, wow. That was one of the ports. Okay.
It was one of the ports for shipping slaves. Yeah.
That south side of Chicago kicked in. It kicked in. You counting the steps. You're deleting the pictures as we move. That south side of Chicago all day.
Man, I'm trying to survive to figure out how to get up out of this, man, boy. What an experience, man. That was an experience, man.
Hey, man, listen, man. It's been great, man. It's been a great interview, man. We love you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep working with the people, the children, the animals. Keep traveling the world, man. I will be in touch, man.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. You've been a blessing. Appreciate you, brother. Good to see you again, always.
Yes, yes. For Delvin Fuller, Captain Delvin Fuller, that is. I am the Kid Rod Allen. This has been another episode of Chicago's Intellectuals Podcast. Peace, peace.
Peace.